Happy Spotify Rep Day to all who celebrate.
Yeah, it's actually pretty cool. I didn't listen to Spotify enough for this to be meaningful because I use other services. But, if you've listened to the Notebook LM stuff, the podcast creation thing, that's what it is. And that's what they are. One of the things they offer. Actually, Spotify Wrapped is turned into this comprehensive,
Yeah,
like
it really
year-end
is.
review. It's something like businesses should just look at, because like as just a way to summarize something, like it's pretty good. Like there's a whole experience.
Should do it at Stardock for your start menu. Like, here's your top
The
five
most
clicked
read
apps
apps. Yeah,
for.
yeah. It's like you were killing it with Notepad this year, Brad.
You're a top 1% Notepad user. Congrats.
Exactly. Yeah. Right. I mean, that's it's interesting.
Yeah. And more spicy news, if you will.
Yeah.
Microsoft accused the FTC of leaking information to the media because apparently there's an investigation going on. And Microsoft has repeatedly asked the FTC for hey, can you let us know what's going on? And they just aren't giving them information. So Microsoft wrote a blog post that said, hey,
Yeah. So I find this to be fascinating because The Verge, I want to be really super clear about this. The
yep.
Verge sucks. They're fucking terrible. I hate them so much. And let me give you one example why. If you view an article from The Verge, it has hyperlinks in it so you can go to the source of actual information. They don't display them by default. You have to mouse around the article and look for them. Specifically on purpose, hiding the actual source of the information you're reading. Okay. This particular article, where it claims that Microsoft says this, does not link to anything Microsoft has published. There's nothing. So The Verge has reported this, but they've not given you the source of that information.
Hold
So I
on,
spent some time.
You
Yeah,
got.
no, it's out there.
Oh,
I
yeah.
spent some time looking for it, but you can't find it in their article. And I'm sorry, but this publication can go F itself. I am so tired of this level of obfuscation purposefully to keep you from leaving their site. It's nonsense. So that's the first thing that comes to mind when you talk about this story, because they make me insane. Anyway, Microsoft has taken a increasingly belligerent stance against those who complain about them.
Yep,
Right?
I've noticed that.
It's been a weird flip, because I have to say, one of the big stories of the past, I'm going to call it 20 years in the Microsoft space, is its conciliatory approach to regulators and antitrust and whatever locale specific laws like the DMA, DMC, whatever it's called, Run DMC, all those things. Brad Smith, right? We talk about this a lot, and lately it's been like Google complains about them in the cloud, well, Google's doing this too, and now the FTC thing. This is a bizarre complaint to make public, frankly.
It is. That's why I bring it up, because it's
yeah. This is like you have two children and they're screwing up in the other room, and you come in there and you're you kind of come down on them, and then one of them goes, "She hit me first," or whatever, and you're like, you know what? I don't really care anymore. You're both terrible, and I don't know what to say to this. Also, the FTC, such as it is about to implode. So Lisa Khan's on the way out. I mean, look, I personally don't like this woman. I don't think she's done the right thing. I think she squandered time and resources on the wrong problems in many cases, not all cases, obviously. Not super successful getting stuff done. That part of the problem. So is it believable? Do I want to sort of, no, not want to, but do I lean into sort of believing that they probably did something like this? Yeah, actually, I kind of do, but that's not evidence, and I don't know what to say. And so right now what we have is two sides, one of which is a federal regulatory body, and the other which is the second biggest company in the world. And I don't Does it? I don't know. I don't even know if it matters, but it's bizarre to me. By the way, the same executive at Microsoft I've never heard of.
I was about to say, let me read this first line
Yeah.
of her post because she
Hmm.
posted it on LinkedIn. Her name is Rima, Rima. I don't know how to
I
pronounce
know.
her last name. Ali Lai.
A,
We'll
li-
go
a
with
lie,
that.
lie,
She is
I lie, lie, lie,
she is the
lie.
leading competition and market regulation team at Microsoft, which is one heck of a
Deputy
thing.
General Counsel, I think
Yeah.
is the easiest way to say it.
Anyways,
Yep.
her opening sentences, she says, "Today I asked on behalf of Microsoft, the FTC Inspector General, to investigate whether the FTC management improperly leaked confidential information about the potential antitrust investigation last week in violations of the agency's ethics rules of practice," and blah, blah, blah. It goes on and on. But that's,
Yeah.
yeah,
So look, it's impossible to not see the hypocrisy in the statement that a company that is jamming AI down our throats right now, unethically, while pretending that their number one focus is security, right? Also
yeah,
hypocritical. Uh, Complaining that the other black kettle over there is behaving unethically. Eh, that's you know what I mean. Like, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you.
yep.
I Okay. Speaking of unethical, did I mention The Verge not linking to their sources? Because that is also unethical, I guess, if I could speak properly. I Did I mention that? I can't remember because it's kind of a pet peeve of mine. Anywho, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I
So
don't,
here's the thing. Here's the problem. The FTC can investigate this internally, I guess. By the time they ever come out with anything, it's the government. Like the whole business or whatever it is, the team, whatever, will be gone, right? So nobody cares. But all you have to do is come back and say, yeah, it was someone inside the agency that leaked this. It has to be, but that doesn't
something.
mean it was a systemic requirement from above to behave in this manner. Like, I mean, all it takes is a single bad actor to do the wrong thing in this case. And it's like, does that mean the FTC did this, or does that mean that some individual did it?
Right.
I don't know.
I don't know. Microsoft, to your point, has been getting hit by they got the UK issue, they've got an EU issue, they've got apparently a pending
Yeah.
US issue. They
Yep.
have avoided the limelight long enough, and now they're getting hit from all sides. And I think
And their
that's gonna.
reaction is amazing. I many years ago, unfortunately, because our child almost died, I had this experience in life where you get to see how people react to really bad things. And my
Hmm.
wife, in this case, responded in a way that was frankly heroic. And when you see that, when you kind of witness this, it's very interesting because some people just curl up in a ball and die. Some people respond poorly. Some people do the right thing, right? And so, if you kind of apply this to big tech and antitrust and what's going on in the world, you can see how different companies respond, and actually different parts of companies in different ways too, right? So, Microsoft has been fairly transparent when it comes to the DMA stuff. Like, they have websites that explain what they're doing, blah blah blah, whatever it is. Apple has had this incredibly belligerent response. Google, in antitrust cases with Kent Walker, their general counsel, has behaved exactly like Microsoft did under Bill Newcomb before Brad Smith came in, like just super belligerent. And this to me, Microsoft in this case, this part of whatever this is, this woman, this part of whatever it is, um, I, I I'm sure it's a strategy. I'm sure they know it can't come from Brad Smith. It has to come from someone else, right? You can't have his face on that or whatever. I'm sure this guy wants to run for office or something eventually, like he's got other plans. But this does not speak well of Microsoft, whether or not this stuff is actually happening. There are two sides to all of these stories. Microsoft versus Google, cloud, yada yada yada. Those two companies have gone back and forth like Godzilla and King Kong. It's been kind of incredible. And I've heard from both of them officially, like explaining themselves. And I think there's a case to be made on both sides of it, right? As there often is in any kind of debate like this. But I just, I don't know. I don't respect this. Like it just, even if it's true, 100% true, this to me is incredible. I just I have trouble with this. This is not,
Yeah,
it feels unprofessional
I was gonna say
and
I think they
childish.
just don't care. Is kind of where
Yeah. Well, that's a problem, Brad. Like that itself, I think you might be right. Maybe
what is
they
it?
just, I don't
Courage in the
know.
face of reality, sort of thing.
Look, if you look at the issues that Apple and Google in particular, and I guess Facebook to some degree, Amazon to some degree, but whatever, those two companies especially, Microsoft's antitrust troubles, such as they are not minor, but they're less. Like they're a lot less, right? They're smaller.
Mm-hmm.
And I I don't I think you Microsoft, it took Microsoft decades to overcome its 1990s, style of the way it was and all the impressions people had of it. It's sobering to go back and look at all of the news stories about, can anyone stop Bill Gates? What, he doesn't, he'll never stop at nothing. He's destroyed so many people and companies, blah, blah, blah. But 20 years went by and you're like, wow, all right, they really turn it around. And now you see this and you're like, oop, it's gone. Like you just see it disappear. This stuff makes that disappear overnight. They fought so hard to get Activision Blizzard as such good citizens of the world, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and I think they just erased all of the goodwill that they have with this kind of thing. This is a big problem to me. Maybe I don't know. Maybe I'm exaggerating. I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't like it.
I don't know. We'll see in
It
about
feels
19
wrong.
years when this all wraps up.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. Like big companies with more money than they know what to do with could hold this shit up forever.
Oh yeah. I
And
mean, it's
then there'll be some eventual settlement that happens after the fact when it doesn't matter anymore. We've already moved on to, we're going to be
well
in
that the
less space
UK
for just
fine. They're saying they might find Microsoft $1 billion.
wow.
Microsoft is like, okay, that's like 3 weeks of revenue of net income.
I
Like,
was going
okay,
to say profits. I mean, yeah. I
and then they'll
mean,
go
they're
change some pricing for some other cloud competitors, and then they'll just move on, and they'll be right
that's
where
right.
they
Right.
were.
We've had to raise the price of Xbox Game Pass again. Sorry.
Well, I also guarantee, too, by the way, in their calculations, they probably figured this would come at some point, but they figured as soon as we get people into our cloud, the cost of moving is so difficult. Not just like the literal writing of
Right.
the check, but like the
That's right.
physical moving is so hard.
I love oh God, dude, it's hard to move from one cable provider
I
to
know.
another cable provider. I mean, how hard would it be to move an infrastructure from any cloud to any cloud? I
Right.
mean, and really do it and not make any changes. In other words, I still want to run the Microsoft stuff in this case or whatever it is. Like who? And by the way, who on earth is going to run Google Cloud or whatever but with Microsoft 365? Like that doesn't even make any sense. What you're really talking about is a massive migration to a whole new platform.
Mm.
And most companies by the end of that sentence have already said, yeah, we're not doing that.
You know
You
what?
know what
The
I mean?
the ultimate ruling that could ever, and I don't even think it's technically possible on paper, but practically, who knows?
Yeah.
Like the ultimate ruling that could come out from the government would be like,
Mm-hmm.
look, we're going to define a set of standards. All of your products have to align to that, and so that your clients can go to the magic migration portal,
Yeah,
pick their cloud, check a
right.
box, hit a button, and within whatever amount of time, all this stuff happens. And if you don't support it, then you're whatever.
But where does you draw?
I don't know. I don't know.
This
But
is
that's the
Java write one once, write it and run
yeah.
everywhere, right? Like so.
Mobile first, cloud first. It's all good.
No, but it's you've I hear you. And by the way, something like there are of course interoperability protocols and blah blah blah
Yep.
whatever it is. But like ultimately, where this falls apart is at the granular level. Like,
Oh,
well,
for sure.
we run teams. Like in other words, like you want us to open every single interface and every single product service we have, so that someone out in Timbuktu on their dial-up modem can hit our conversation on Teams, but use Google Meet or something instead. And it's like, really? Like, I mean, these companies compete with each other on
Mm-hmm.
features, capabilities, etc. Like, I, this
I
doesn't
did say
make
it
any
was
sense.
practical.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, even I look. maybe I'm naive, but I felt that Microsoft this past summer, right? Feels like a million years ago, ripped Teams out of Microsoft 365 kind of after the fact.
Mm-hmm.
It
Has
was
made a
kind of
big difference.
radical. That was kind of radical, I thought, and how that didn't meet the needs of the EU regulators in this case is unclear because they haven't said how. Like they literally, in this case, this is the one regulatory agency I think in the world that has done a pretty good job of explaining itself and forcing companies to do the right thing. And then Microsoft has come back in this case repeatedly and said, "Well, okay, but what would satisfy your needs?" And they're like, "Just keep trying stuff. We'll let you know if it works." And it's like, no, we're going to need a little more guidance than that, you know. But they took the semi-proactive step of just taking Teams out of the equation, and that didn't do it.
Yeah.
I don't know what to tell you anymore. I mean, this gets complicated really quick, like really quick.
I'd love it if they had like a quorum of called like the others, where they in DC they invite like Notion, Firefox, everybody who's not Google, Amazon, Microsoft, and say like, what do you guys need that you're not
Yeah, but
getting to compete?
dude,
It would.
that it makes that you can't even. My
No, I
God,
know.
the Pandora's box of nonsense that would come out of that. Bring it down to like a personal level. Like, you get into these debates with people over something like Windows and ARM, and it's like this thing we've all wanted for like 20 years. Like, oh my God, or 15 or whatever it is. Oh my God, this is gonna be the best. It's gonna be the best. Oh yeah, here it comes, here it comes. And like the disappointment, disappointment, disappointment. And they finally nailed it this year. And now people are like, well, it doesn't run this one like really esoteric industrial app that I need, or it doesn't interface with like parallel ports. So I I I think we should just stick with x64. And it's like, guys, it's like, God, listen, there's some bizarre combination of like lack of empathy, selfishness, insular thinking, like whatever it is, like Luddite, whatever you want to call that. And it's like these things can both coexist for a while. Eventually, the stupid thing you're doing is going to go away. And how do you not understand that your stupid little world is not the broader mainstream of computing, right? So in this, the thing you're describing is like you can't go to Notion or Evernote or pick any stupid little company and be like, what do you want? You seriously want to see that list?
I'd
Can you
like to see the
imagine?
fire.
I damn, like it would be insane. I I don't know anymore, man. Microsoft can't even put Word on the web and have offline mode. How are they going to interoperate with Notion?
I just want
You
an
know?
email app that's not terrible.
Oh, that's not going to happen.